Okay, I'm sat here with Lucy Cadbury, who's a postgraduate student here, but also involved in teaching with our undergraduate students. I understand you've been working on your new media literacies
Yes, we have.
module, and your students have come up with some questions and things that it might be worth us having a conversation about.
That's right, Dave. What they've asked me actually is to outline the importance of having a profile on LinkedIn after they graduate, which would probably help them get, more interviews, more recognition out there, and knowing, the networking side of things would be incredibly helpful for them.
Okay, well that's fine. I mean, we can kind of talk about the aspects of that in more detail. I think, like many people, actually slightly conflicted about LinkedIn.
Right.
And I have some strong opinions that are more positive and some that are
Yeah.
quite negative. But perhaps once we get into the student questions, we might get to some of those details.
Absolutely. I've got some questions that they've actually asked me to sort of put to you. First one actually is quite simple, and it's asking, what is LinkedIn?
Yeah, absolutely. And in many ways, it's kind of social network, but its goal, I think, is to be a more professional social network. So it's for people to connect with employers, potential employers, with people they work with. So the goal behind it is to have something that has many of the benefits that people have from other social networks, particularly things like Facebook, but it isn't just for sharing cat pictures and all those videos of people falling down holes or whatever.
Yeah. So it's more professional, and it's the genre is not.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean that leads to also having a lot of people who are chancing it, who are describing themselves as social media entrepreneur consultants, when they're locked in their bedroom in whatever country it might be, with not their picture. So there's a certain amount of, you have to exercise your critical faculties when you're getting friend requests and things. So what is credible?
As with any site like that, I guess you have to be very
Absolutely.
careful.
But the drive behind it is the work of more professional, business-driven idea of the benefits of social networking.
Fantastic. Second question I have is, what are the worst things to include in your profile, and what are the common pitfalls when creating a profile? So I guess basically, so what are the no-nos when creating your own profile?
I think for students who are graduating from university and creating their profile, there are probably two ends of the spectrum to avoid. One is that they need to remember this is a professional profile, and so a picture of them being carried at 4 in the morning out of a nightclub without their clothes, isn't wise. And so they need to probably familiarise themselves by looking at other people's profiles with the tone.
Research.
Absolutely, you work in English language, you know how important tone is.
Very much.
And so you need to probably get the tone right. And if they may want to sound unique and try and get a more unique voice on it, and that's fine. But they need to make sure they don't do it in such a way they sound like a 15-year-old. They sound like... The other end of the spectrum is to just lie and over-egg their achievements. And obviously on people's CVs and things, and in people's professional profiles, they want to talk up the importance and status of what they've done, but it needs to be true. But it also needs to not obviously just be them trying to talk up their two achievements in something ridiculous. So don't, make sure you come across like an adult, but also make sure that it's believable and sensible and matches with the reality.
Fab. I mean, being honest is actually something that will be found out anyway very quickly by anyone who can research them. And wants them for interview, etc. So
absolutely,
best to be honest.
It's very tempting, I think, on those things when you see other people kind of self-aggrandising.
To embellish.
Yeah, and actually, for most of our graduates, certainly, talking about the course, perhaps in some aspects of the profile, about what the course has taught them, what skills they've got as a result, is entirely credible. And they can talk about modules that have taught them. They did a module of new media literacy, and they're more better able to look at those jobs on social media as a result. That's perfectly true and credible. Yeah. Don't write an essay about it.
So, I mean, talking of spectrum, so we've said what are the no-nos to include in profiles. So, what are the most important things to include?
I would say the important things: what degree you've got, what qualifications you've got, what work you might have done before, but also in some more of the detail, include what modules you studied, what they have taught you, things of this sort. Some people publish, if they do things, if they're in certain job areas where they're trying to get into them, they may have a small a blog or something like that, where they discuss what skills they've got. And LinkedIn actually is quite a good way for sharing short pieces of writing via the sharing of links.
So a creative writer might find a poem helps someone to find out more about their work.
Absolutely. They may well have a blog, and they may what people sometimes use is their LinkedIn profile to drive traffic to an external website. So
it's more personal.
yeah, a student who's a student who's wanting to work as a consultant in social media for companies,
Okay.
so may have their own website, but no one's going to go to it unless they know it's there.
So LinkedIn is a good way.
Yeah, they might use Facebook to some extent. They may use Twitter. There can be pitfalls there.
Yes.
But LinkedIn, in a sense, may be the kind of interface between their professional profile and their little bit of the professional web.
Fantastic. What have we got next? It's quite an interesting one, and it could be seen as a sort of silly thing, but actually I think it's important from some of the research I've done. So what sort of profile picture should you choose? I know that silly selfies and 4 a.m. pictures of drunken antics are not probably wise, but do you know?
I think I'm conflicted again between worrying about too much about how the opportunity for employers to exercise various forms of unconscious bias exists very much. So personally, I'm a bit uncomfortable with the whole looking at people on their pictures and making judgments about them in relation to gender and ethnicity and age and things. So that I think is very problematic. Many people find it easier to have. You do see people who are 21 and they dress like somebody in a very super formal suit.
Okay.
If you being super formal is who somebody is, then that's fine. But I think the idea again that you're trying to kind of be somebody you're not is problematic. So I think kind of as long as it's not really problematic picture taken at 4 in the morning when you're upside down and whatever it might be. But also, it doesn't necessarily need to be. You don't need to buy a suit for your LinkedIn photo.
So not necessarily professional photographers.
No.
Expense.
You do see some of that,
stress.
and sometimes it's a bit of a red flag for some of the more kind of less credible profiles when people's got a really, really professional profile, but you don't find the details of what they do. You keep thinking, what is it they do? Again, it's hidden under an awful lot of
facade.
Yeah, and some of the LinkedIn profiles that people encounter are hidden underneath an awful lot of rhetorical kind of talk, but you can actually see what they do.
Okay.
So there are things to be aware of in that respect. But for pictures, I'd say as long as they look vaguely respectable and reasonably normal and approachable, that's sufficient, and then not to worry about it too much.
So off the back of the sort of picture, we move down to important things to include in your bio. But I think we have covered that in quite great detail. Honesty, saying what you've covered in university at this stage and what was important, what you've learned.
I think so, but also what their aspirations are.
Right, goals, aspirations.
What they're looking to move into. Because one thing, as much as when we began, I said that there are things about LinkedIn that I'm less comfortable with and less keen on.
Yes.
Especially it's kind of being taken over by kind of weird marketeers and those people. However, it does seem to work very well for a lot of students as a job marketplace, and a lot of people who work in employment agencies will use LinkedIn rather than having a kind of phone book of people. They will go onto LinkedIn and just search for keywords.
Okay.
And for people who want, and certainly in the academic world, I've been approached by employment agencies who found my profile via LinkedIn. You work on this particular thing. Okay. There is a job going. We're trying to get people to apply for it.
You've got experience with this buzzword.
Yeah, and they're not actually really recruiting you, but they're trying to get the amount of people who apply for that post up.
Right.
But then you might not know about the job, and LinkedIn is always trying to nag you into saying these 10 jobs might be, and sometimes that suggesting thing is quite crude, and it's not the best example of artificial intelligence in the world yet.
But like the dating apps then, apparently.
Yeah, I couldn't possibly comment. But they are using it more and more, and I've spoken to numerous students who have found jobs through LinkedIn, and employment agencies make use more than every year. So it is a medium by which people do find jobs, and you find more and more jobs on there. Clearly, being an online socially networked thing, you'll particularly like to find jobs in there in that kind of realm. But actually, if you've got a particular interest, or a student has a particular interest, they should probably go on LinkedIn and start connecting with people in their industry.
Okay. So words like the industry they want to get into, search
and have a look what's on there. Make sure that they're describing the industry in the same way that everybody else is.
Brilliant.
So that when people are searching it.
That's great. The last question actually was a sort of very specific question, and again we've kind of covered the answer, but one of them just says, I am doing a degree that isn't directly linked to the sector in which I work. Currently they're working. And what's the best way to make a change from one sector to another using LinkedIn? But like you said, using those words of what your aspirations are, the industries you want to go into.
Absolutely,
And
and also
networking again.
it may be in your bio or some other aspect of your kind of details you put up there that you're able to demonstrate, because moving learning sectors, the person in question is like to have quite significant transferable social
Yes.
skills, kind of soft skills,
Yeah.
and it may be that they've got really good people skills, and that, because the awful thing with CVs and reading job applications is people tell you the things and tell you what they've
So
got.
they're great in a team and they're great at this. And
What people are looking for is evidence. Always when you're looking at job applications, you say, well, the criteria are great working in a team,
yes,
able to engage. But if you can see evidence of
Right.
that, you can kind of tick the box and move on. So they may be able to use their previous professional experience
okay,
as evidence that they are effective working in a team, or they are good at leading, or whatever it might be, delivering results within a budget or a timescale, or excuse me,
fantastic.
whatever it might be. So I think the same way, really, that you would think you would come to, many people have the skills to come to a job application for.
Right,
If you're using LinkedIn for that professional profile, bring that sensibility to it, thinking, what am I using this profile to say about myself? And it's not fake, I don't
No.
think, and it's not necessarily they're putting up a fake version of themselves, but they're stressing those aspects that, on Facebook, they may be stressing their funneling aspects, and that they're never
happy
miserable.
lives.
Their miserable lives are better than yours, and all those things that we see. And in other sessions, they may be showing on Twitter that they're cleverer than you and understand politics better. But on LinkedIn, I think people are stressing that aspect of themselves,
Right.
which is their professional persona, which is not them and isn't all of them, but it's an aspect of themselves they are choosing to reveal in a set context
Right.
for a purpose. And I think that's the way to look at it, is that it's a tool you're trying to do something with, and you need to be honest, but you know it doesn't need to fully define you and be all you are.
Fantastic. That is all the questions we have.
Lovely.
I'm
Well,
very grateful to you for taking time to do
no,
this.
well, it's always a pleasure to do stuff for our students, and hopefully they'll find that useful. And what we might do another time, another bit of video, is see what kind of response we get from them. But
Lovely.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.